UA dorm 6:42 a.m. The sun peeked gently through the wide windows of the UA Class 1 dorm building. Birds chirped. Wind rustled the leaves outside. Everything felt peaceful. But something was off. Because unlike usual, Izuku Midoriya and Kyuka Jirou were nowhere to be seen. Common room mild chaos. Where the heck are they? Mina asked, munching cereal and scanning the room. Did they sneak out or something? No way, Denki said. Izuku's not the type. Taida adjusted his glasses. It is highly irregular that both of them missed morning roll call. Perhaps they are injured. Or emotionally destroyed from yesterday, Zero added with a grin. Bakuga leaned against the wall, arms crossed, a smirk tugging at his mouth. They're in his room. The room went silent. What? Eureka blinked. Why threatened, Mina said slowly, her eyes widening with a devious sparkle. As in, together. Bakuga shrugged. Said what I said. Bet they passed out after all that burnin' and screamin'. Idiots probably crashed out mid-convo. We have to confirm this, Mina whispered, already creeping down the hall. Hallway operation spy. Mina tiptoed to Izuku's door, phone already in hand. The rest of the class clustered behind her like curious ducklings. SSSHH, she hissed. We're just gonna peek. She pushed the door open a crack. And there they were. Izuku, still in his sleep shirt, hair a chaotic mess of green, one arm loosely around Kyuka, who was tucked under the same blanket, her earphone jack slightly wrapped around her own wrists like instinctual shields. Both were sound asleep, breathing slow and even. A hint of a smile tugged at Izuku's mouth. Snap. Mina pulled back, waving frantically. We're leaving. Now. Let them be. But. Denki whispered. No buts. 30 minutes later, Izuku's room. The warm glow of morning filled the room. A soft breeze passed through the cracked window. Izuku stirred first. His eyes fluttered open, then blinked in confusion at the unfamiliar warmth at his side. Kyuka. She groaned softly, shifting. Her eyes peeked open, meeting his. There was a pause. Silence between them. Then she blinked. You didn't move all night. He smiled nervously. Didn't want to wake you. She smirked a little. You snore. He blushed furiously. What? She laughed, then settled her head briefly against his shoulder. It was kind of nice, though. Cue awkward silence and hearts pounding. Slow start, toothbrushes and toast. They moved eventually. Not quickly. Just lazily, brushing their teeth side by side in the shared dorm sink, still in pajamas. Kyuka wore one of Izuku's shirts by accident. He noticed. Said nothing. She noticed him noticing. Neither brought it up. Down in the kitchen, they made toast. Izuku burned his slice. Kyuka pretended not to judge him, then handed him one of hers with a quiet, "You're hopeless." Thanks. Then they sat by the open window, toast and tea in hand, watching the clouds drift. Yesterday was intense, Kyuka said. Yeah, Izuku murmured. Still can't believe I won. You earned it. She bumped his shoulder gently. But that last move. Total overkill. He chuckled. Maybe, but I wanted you to see it. That caught her off guard. You were cheering, he added quietly. I heard you. She looked away quickly, hiding the tiny blush on her cheeks. "Shut up." They smiled. Back in the common room, a surprise welcome. When the two finally emerged from the hallway, freshly dressed and looking just a bit flustered, the entire class tried to act normal. Tried. Mina was the first to break. "So, good sleep." Izuku choked on air. Kyuka elbowed her way past. "Don't start." Bakuga barked a laugh in the back. They spooned. "Call it now." Bakuga. End scene. Peace. Later that night, the three, Izuku, Kyuka, and Bakuga, sat on the dorm roof, watching the stars in comfortable silence. The sports festival was over. The next chapter of their lives was beginning. But tonight was for breathing. And just being together. UA Dorms, Internship Day announcement. Principal Nezu's voice crackled from the hallway speakers, bright and oddly cheerful. "Attention Class 10. Please report to the homeroom for agency selection and internship briefing." The class erupted with excitement and nerves. Students shuffled in with wide eyes and hopeful grins. The air buzzed with whispered speculation. "Which hero do you think will pick me? I want Hawks. He's flashy. What if I get no offers?" But 4 students weren't guessing. Because they already had pro heroes waiting for them. Izuku Midoriya, Kyuka Jirou, Katsuki Bakuga, Shoto Todoroki. Their names glowed with offers from the biggest names in Japan. Agency selection, the Big Four. Aizawa stood at the front of the room, arms folded. Todoroki, Midoriya, Bakuga, Jirou. You've each received multiple offers. Your decisions will shape your training. They each stepped forward, scanning their holographic screens. Izuku Midoriya, offers from Endeavor, Manual, and an underground flame specialist. Shoto Todoroki, offers from dozens. But his gaze fixed only on one, Endeavor. Katsuki Bakuga, one name stood bold and sharp, best genist. Kyuka Jirou, her screen pulsed with only one offer, Hisashi Yamada aka Present Mic. They all selected. And fate was sealed. Train ride, Izuku and Shoto, to Endeavor's flame. The bullet train glided over cityscapes and mountains, humming with electric speed. Izuku sat across from Shoto in silence. The air was heavy. "You sure about this?" Izuku asked gently. Shoto didn't look up from the window. "No. But I need to understand him. And myself." Izuku nodded. "I want to learn more too. How to control the fire. Without letting it consume me." Shoto's eyes flicked toward him. There was a pause. "Then, let's learn together." Arrival at Endeavor Agency. The Endeavor Agency towered over the city like a furnace made concrete. Everything burned red and black. Inside, heat rolled off the walls in waves. Endeavor stood in the lobby, broad arms crossed, flames licking his shoulders. "You too. Follow me. The fire doesn't wait." And just like that, they were thrown into his inferno. Meanwhile, Kyuka Jirou, Yamada's sound studio. Present Mic space of operations looked more like a recording label than a hero agency. Rows of sound equipment, subwoofers, and battle-tested speakers lined the walls. Kyuka walked in, head on a swivel. "Yu Jirou." Present Mic greeted with both arms wide. "Welcome to the stage." She blinked. Ah, thanks for having me. He grinned. We're gonna tune your sound into a weapon. Meanwhile, Bakuga, best genist's meticulous world. Bakuga stepped into a pristine, white minimalist agency. Everything looked folded, steamed, perfect. Bakuga Katsuki genist said, tall and elegant. You are a crumpled page. We shall iron your character flat. Bakuga grunted. You trying to make me a fashion model or a hero? Genist adjusted his denim tie. Both. Let's begin. Day 1 of training. Izuku and Shoto, the fire within. Endeavor took them to a private rooftop. The sun beat down. The city moved below. You control flames like you're afraid of them, Endeavor barked at Izuku. Izuku's hands glowed. I respect them. Fire isn't to be respected. It's to be commanded. Burn. Bright. Fast. Unrelenting. Shoto's eyes narrowed. And what happens when it consumes you? Endeavor stared. Then you weren't worthy to hold it. That night, Izuku and Shoto trained alone under the moon. Their flames flickered side by side. Kyuka, sonic foundations. Present Mick had her scream into reinforced glass chambers. Measured decibels. Tuned frequencies. You can hit over 160 decibels with a high enough push, he said. That's enough to burst a car window. They practiced control, tone modulation, harmonic layering. Her jack cables glowed faintly by the end of the day. You're not just loud, Jirou said, sipping coffee. You're precise. You're music that breaks walls. Bakuga, discipline by thread. Bakuga spent 3 hours folding denim. Then 3 more walking patrols in total silence. Heroes don't shout for attention, Genist lectured. Their presence alone commands it. Bakuga almost exploded. But didn't. Later that night, Genist sparred him using high-tensile denim whips. Bakuga smirked, sweat flying. Now this is more like it. Day 2 of training. Izuku and Shoto, ignition synchronization. Endeavor made them run across building rooftops using nothing but their fire to launch between them. Izuku stumbled twice, flames shorting under nerves. Shoto caught him with a cold blast and said softly, "Focus your breathing." Then fire. That night, they meditated in silence. Your dad's brutal, Izuku whispered. He's a furnace. But I'm not him. And you're not alone. Kyuka, echo combat. Present Mick brought her to a villain simulation dome. Let's remix reality, Jirou. Robots charged. Kyuka slammed cables into the ground, releasing shockwaves that bent metal. She screamed in 3 tones, low, mid, high, shattering drones midair. Mick clapped from behind soundproof glass. Rock on, heroine. Bakuga, the controlled blast. Genist taught Bakuga how to shape his explosions midair into gentle bursts. Harder than it looked. You're not a bomb, Genist said. You're a sculptor with explosive clay. Bakuga's control improved. Aerial flips. Precise bursts. Zero collateral. But at night. He grumbled, still hate these pants. Day 3, breakthrough. Izuku and Shoto, fire brothers. They faced a pro hero in mock combat, Burnstorm, a flame-type villain captured and hired for simulation. Izuku dodged, blasted fire from his mouth and feet, spiraling into a mid-air tackle. Shoto froze Burnstorm's legs mid-leap. Then both launched coordinated fire bursts that spiraled like twin dragons. Boom. Well done, Endeavor said. You're learning to own it. Later, at a rooftop dinner, Shoto passed Izuku a drink. Thanks. For pushing me. Izuku nodded. We're not our parents. We're better. Kyuka, sonic boom. Kyuka and present Mick took on a sound wave dampening villain. He jammed her frequencies. Adapt. Mick yelled. She did. By redirecting her scream through environmental echoes, bouncing resonance until she hit the perfect harmony. Kai-kun. The villain's ears bled. Down he went. Kyuka collapsed, grinning. Guess I found my voice. Bakuga, the final stitch. Genist placed a fabric-bound villain in front of Bakuga. Control him. No collateral. Bakuga grinned. Watch me. Boom. Explode. Stop. Faint. Redirect. No buildings hit. No scorched road. Just a clean takedown. Genist nodded. You're not a child with dynamite. You're a hero now. Hose you burned. Not metaphorically, actual flames licked at story fronts and danced atop shattered street lamps. Smoke clouded the night sky, shrouding the stars. Explosions crackled across the city blocks as no new creatures rampaged through the streets like hellspawn set loose. Civilians screamed. Police struggled. Heroes fell one by one. And amidst the chaos, a boy sprinted alone. Izuku Midoriya, face soot-streaked and drenched in sweat, zigzagged through alleys and leapt over fallen debris. His boots emitted periodic flares, small bursts of orange fire helping him propel forward, keeping him ahead of the destruction. The Tidas. He muttered. Todoroki, Kaken, where are they? His earpiece crackled with static. Communication had failed minutes ago. But there was no time to fix it. Izuku skidded to a halt, breath catching in his throat. A narrow alley ahead. Two bodies. One unconscious, slumped against a dumpster, Tensia Tida. And crouched over him, blade drawn, face masked and maddened. Stain. The hero killer revealed. Another one drawn by rage, Stain said without turning around. Another child who thinks flame and fury make a hero. Izuku took a step forward. Flames flickered at his shoulders. Get away from him. Stain turned. His presence was suffocating. Eyes that had seen countless murders. Clothes caked with dried blood. Every movement he made radiated precision, purpose, and madness. You're the flame wielder from the sports festival. Izuku Midoriya. A quirk with destructive potential. Power that could consume cities. And yet, he tilted his head, blade dripping, you believe you're different from the monsters I hunt? Izuku said nothing. He just moved. Round 1, Midoriya vs Stain. Fire exploded from his feet, launching him forward in a corkscrewing arc. Stain blocked the first flame burst with a blade, skidded back on the alley floor, and lunged. Izuku spun midair, fire blasting from his mouth, an arcing whip of flame that narrowly missed decapitating his foe. The hero killer flipped over the wave and landed behind Izuku, slashing downward. Clang. Sparks flew as flame-hardened gloves met steel. Izuku ducked, punched low. Stain twisted his body unnaturally to dodge, then retaliated with a dagger swipe across Izuku's forearm. blood. Damn, don't let him taste it. Too late. Stain licked the blade. Izuku's limbs began to freeze. Paralysis, he gasped. Quirk, blood type trigger. Just as Izuku began to fall, a blast of ice erupted from the ground beneath Stain, throwing him backward into the alley wall. You're not fighting alone. Shoto Todoroki emerged from the smoke, fire and frost pulsing at his palms. Behind him, Kyuka Jirou, her hair wild, ears glowing violet, Jax extended. And then, Katsuki Bakuga, sparks flying from his gauntlets, stalking toward them like a storm. Deku, you idiot, he growled. Couldn't wait 5 damn minutes. Team versus Stain, the hero's gauntlet. Stain rose to his feet, licking a cut from his cheek. 4 of you. 1 of me. His grin widened. Perfect. What followed was chaos in its purest form. Todoroki blanketed the walls in ice, limiting Stain's movement. Bakuga used it as launch pads, turning the alley into a fireworks tunnel. Kyuka let out sonic pulses that rattled the air, disorienting Stain and signaling their positions to one another. Izuku, arm numb but fire still strong, launched high above the fray, coordinating mid-air strikes with explosive bursts from Bakuga. Stain was fast. Inhumanly so. He dodged Todoroki's ice, deflected Bakuga's blasts, and nearly slashed Kyuka across the chest, until Izuku shoulder-checked him into a dumpster, flames erupting around them. Your resolve is strong. Stain roared. But you fight with confusion. With ego. That's not justice. Kyuka screamed. A sonic beam hit Stain full in the chest, sending him flying across the alley into Bakuga's awaiting explosion. The villain hit the ground, groaning, but not down. Not yet. Why won't you stay down? Bakuga bellowed. Stain stood again. His eyes locked on Izuku. Your fire isn't for justice. It's a curse. Just like mine. The final clash begins. Smoke coiled like snakes through the shattered alley. Stain stood at its heart, breathing like a beast cornered, but not afraid. Across from him, 4 students, bloodied and burned but unbroken. Izuku Midoriya, smoldering with internal heat, one arm still limp, the other clenched in fury. Katsuki Bakuga, his gauntlets hissing with the build-up of combustion. Shoto Todoroki, ice spreading at his feet, fire flickering behind cold, calculating eyes. And Kyuka Jirou, low to the ground, earjacks humming with pure frequency control, teeth grit in fierce focus. You've already lost, Izuku said, voice low. Stay down. Stain tilted his head, grin cracked. I've won, he whispered. Because I've made you all question yourselves. He vanished. Round 2, the hero killer's reign. Stain reappeared behind Todoroki, blade drawn. But Todoroki had grown faster. A wall of ice shot upward, shielding his flank just in time. Stain bounced off it and flipped toward Kyuka. She launched a sound pulse directly at him. He twisted midair, blades out, deflecting the blast, barely grazing the edge. He's adapting. Bakuga barked, launching into the air. He shot an explosion down at Stain, forcing the villain to leap back. But Izuku was already moving. His boots flared, sending him spiraling toward the hero killer. He ducked under a blade, planted his foot against the wall, and unleashed a mouth blast of fire at close range. Stain was engulfed, but only for a second. He emerged, singed, bleeding, but smiling. Fire. Ice. Noise. Rage. He spat blood. Still you fight with borrowed convictions. Kyuka narrowed her eyes. You don't know a thing about us. Kyuka's moment echo barrage. She lowered to one knee, earjacks stabbing into the pavement. The ground throbbed. A deep, rhythmic sound built from below. A subsonic pulse. Midoriya, get clear, she shouted. Izuku dove aside as the shockwave hit, a concussive blast rippling from beneath Stain's feet, knocking him off balance, shredding the air with violent oscillations. Bakuga seized the moment, detonated behind Stain, flinging him into Todoroki's awaiting ice wall. He slammed into it and crumpled. Still moving. Still trying to stand. Why won't he just drop? Bakuga roared. Pro-hero arrival present Mick. A new voice cut through the smoke, thunderous and electric. Don't worry, kids, the cavalry's here. From above, present Mick dropped onto the scene like a rock star landing on stage. His voice alone sent dust and debris flying as he skidded into position. He pointed a gloved hand at Stain. You're gonna wanna sit this encore out, man. Stain tried to lurch forward. Mick roared. A shockwave of pure voice blew him straight back into Todoroki's ice wall, this time knocking him cold. Sleep tight, hero killer. Horror from the sky, no Mew strike. Sirens wailed. Medics rushed in. And then, a shriek tore through the sky. A winged no Mew, bat-like and grotesque, dove from the heavens with terrifying speed. Its claws extended and grabbed Izuku Midoriya, yanking him into the air before anyone could blink. Deku. Kyuka screamed. Shit. Bakuga launched into the sky, but he couldn't reach. Flame unleashed Skyfire Rampage. Hundreds of feet in the air, Izuku dangled in the beast's grip, eyes wide with a fury that bubbled into ignition. Let me go. He opened his mouth. A torrent of white-hot fire blasted upward, igniting the no-Mew's arms. He twisted his legs mid-air, redirected a blast through his boots, spinning himself around, and launched a full circular flame ring, engulfing the no-Mew entirely. The creature let out a metallic scream. It burst into flame, dropped Izuku mid-air. And he controlled the fall. Firing bursts downward from his soles, he adjusted his descent just enough to crash through a rooftop and roll into unconsciousness. Aftermath hospital recovery. Izuku woke up to antiseptic lighting and soft beeping. His throat felt raw. His muscles ached. He could smell burned cloth. Kyuka sat beside him. Her eyes were red from crying. She didn't speak. Just squeezed his hand and exhaled softly when his fingers twitched. You okay? He rasped. You're asking me that, she whispered, lips quivering. You idiot. She pressed her forehead against his hand. Don't ever scare me like that again. Outside the room, hero reflection. Todoroki leaned against the wall, arms folded. Bakuga paced restlessly. Present Mick stood with arms crossed, watching the hallway. They held out longer than most pro teams, he said to Todoroki. They saved a life. Took down the hero killer. Fought off a no-Mew. And nearly died, Todoroki replied. Mick gave a small nod. That's the burden of those who burn brightest. The room was quiet, save for the slow rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. Izuku Midoriya blinked against the sterile light above him. His mouth was dry. His arms were sore. His ribs throbbed with each breath. A soft weight rested against his hand. Kyuka. Her earphones were wrapped loosely around her shoulders, her head resting on the edge of the bed, sound asleep. Her eyes were puffy, tear streaks still faint on her cheeks. Izuku shifted slightly, and she stirred. "You're awake," she whispered hoarsely. "Barely," he croaked. "Did we win?" She gave a breathless, trembling smile. "Yeah. You won. You crazy bastard." She sat up straighter and wiped at her face. He reached out with his unburned arm and gently touched her knuckles. "I'm sorry," he said. "Don't," she cut in. "You saved Taida. And his brother. And you're here. That's all that matters." Their eyes held for a moment. Tender. Raw. Grateful. Scene 2, outside the room. Conversations behind glass. Outside room 107A, several people stood watching through the glass. Aizawa. Present Mixamentos. Recovery Girl. And beside them, Toshinari, All Might in his true form, thin and worn. No one spoke at first. Then Aizawa broke the silence. He burned the no-mu from the inside. Controlled fire while airborne. First time I've seen that level of precision in any student. Present Mick nodded. His body moved like he knew what he was doing. That wasn't instinct. That was training and anger aligned. Recovery Girl frowned. It took a serious toll. Vocal cords scorched. Mild lung trauma. Not to mention the psychological trauma. All Might stepped closer to the glass. His eyes softened. He's going to blame himself. Cementos turned. For killing the no-mu. Aizawa nodded. Even though it was a no-mu, a bioengineered corpse, it's still the first time he's used lethal force. It'll weigh on him. All Might clenched his bony fist. I only hope he knows he had no other choice. Scene 3, police debriefing night. Izuku sat upright in a wheelchair. Bandaged, drained, but focused. On either side, Todoroki and Kyuka. Bakuga stood behind them, arms crossed, quiet but bristling with tension. Across from them sat two officers and Naomi Suzuki, the straight-talking detective who often worked with All Might. He pressed a recorder. Let's start from the beginning, Midoriya. What happened when you arrived in Hoju? Izuku detailed every second, finding Taida, discovering Stain, the initial clash, their coordinated efforts. When he reached the part about the no-mu, he paused. It grabbed me, he said quietly. Flew me above the rooftops. I couldn't control the direction, only the heat. So I burned it. I burned it until it dropped me. Suzuki raised an eyebrow. And you did this midair? Izuku nodded. I didn't think. I just knew I couldn't let it escape with me. You incinerated a no-mu mid-flight and survived a fall by controlling your own flames like thrusters. He leaned forward. Midoriya, that's not just instinct. That's weaponized flight. Do you understand what you're capable of? Izuku stared at his own bandaged hands. I didn't want to kill it, he said. But it wouldn't stop. No one spoke. Then Bakuga muttered, he's being too damn soft on himself. Kyuka put a hand on Izuku's shoulder. He did what a hero does, she said, firm. He protected someone. He ended the threat. That's it. Scene 4, morning news. The world reacts. On TV screens across Japan, footage rolled. In breaking news, Footage has emerged from Hoju City showing UA student Izuku Midoriya, known as Emberborn, unleashing a massive fire attack midair, seemingly destroying a bioengineered villain known as a no-mu. Video from civilian drones captured the moment, Izuku's fire spiraling upward like a meteor, flames consuming the no-mu in an aerial inferno. Social media exploded. #Emberborn. #UA students. #hero killer fall. #Ishi threat. News anchors debated live. What kind of power is this? Should UA students be allowed to fight at this level? Is this the future of heroism? Scene 5, UA Staff Lounge. Heated debate. Principal Nezu sat at the head of the table. Around him, Aizawa, Midnight, Power Loader, Vlad King, Snipe, and a few other faculty members. They had just finished watching the broadcast. Midnight broke the silence. That wasn't just survival. That was annihilation. Controlled, yes. But powerful. Snipe folded his arms. That kind of fire control isn't something kids should be using without extreme monitoring. Vlad King leaned in. But he saved lives. If it weren't for Midoriya, Stain would have killed Taida. That no-mu might have escaped with him. He did what pros couldn't. Nezu tapped a pen against his paw. We knew Midoriya had an unusual quirk. And we've seen flashes of his restraint. But this. He looked at Aizawa. This was a transformation. A tactical evolution under stress. Aizawa sighed. He's dangerous. But only to people who threaten others. And that's what makes him a true hero. Even now, he blames himself for stopping a monster. Nezu leaned back. Then we prepare. The press will call him a weapon. But we'll show them, he's more than firepower. Scene 6, Hospital Balcony at sunset. Later that evening, Izuku sat on the small hospital balcony, legs wrapped in a blanket, watching the sunset paint the city in gold and smoke. Kyuka stood beside him, silent at first. They're showing you on the news, she said. They're calling you a rising flame. He didn't answer right away. I didn't want them to see that side of me, he whispered. The rage. The burn. She sat beside him, leaning her head on his shoulder. You weren't burning with rage. You were burning to protect people. That's what matters. He looked at her, finally smiling. Gently. You stayed the whole time. Always, she said. And for a few quiet minutes, the world stopped spinning. The first morning back after Hoju felt like a reset. For some. Students laughed nervously, reliving tales of their internships. Mina bragged about the high-speed chase she got caught in. Kaminari showed off a small scar like it was a war medal. Taida smiled thinly, still recovering, still stiff, but present. But Izuku Midoriya. He sat at his desk, silent. Motionless. No notebook. No spark. His eyes were dull, glassy, fixed somewhere far beyond the window-pane. Even his fire was gone. No warmth. No low hum. No glow. Kyuka noticed it immediately. He hasn't spoken since yesterday, she whispered to Bakuga. Bakuga, arms folded, scowled. He's not just quiet, he muttered. He's gone. That's not Deku. That's a damn ghost. Kyuka stood. Walked straight to Aizawa's desk. Sensei, something's wrong with him. Aizawa blinked from his sleeping bag. He watched Izuku for a moment, then nodded. I've already sent word to the school counselor. Hound dog's on his way. Scene 2, hound dog arrives, bark and command. The door slammed open with a snarl and growl. Midoriya. Hound dog's guttural bark cut the classroom like a blade. Everyone froze. Izuku flinched, but didn't argue. Didn't question. Just stood up. Kyuka stepped forward, but Bakuga caught her wrist. Let him go, he said. If anyone can dig it out of him, it's that mutt. Scene 3, therapy room. Tell me or burn. The room was soft lit. Bookshelves lined with case studies and plush chairs. Hound dog, snout twitching, tail rigid, motioned with a clawed hand. Sit. Wherever. However. Just, be real, Midoriya. Izuku collapsed onto a chair, back hunched, hands trembling. If I tell you, he muttered, can I leave? Hound dog nodded. You tell me what's eating you, then I'll decide if you can leave. Silence. Then. That night, with Stain. He said people like me are fakes. Monsters. That quirks like mine are curses. I didn't believe him, until I realized, he's right. His voice cracked. Growing up, I burned things without meaning to. My room. My clothes. My mother's arms. They said it was a powerful quirk, but it cost my family everything. Therapy. Repairs. Medical bills. He clenched his fists. All I ever wanted was to protect people. But instead, I hurt them. And the Nomu. His breathing grew erratic. The Nomu grabbed me. It was flying. I saw its face. It reacted when I said Tsubasa. Hound dog froze. Tsubasa. Izuku nodded. He was a friend. Mine and Bakuga's. A boy with wings. He went missing 2 years ago. And I swear to God, I saw his eyes. And they pleaded with me to end it. He broke down. So I burned him alive. I watched my flames crawl across him. And I didn't stop. He stood, suddenly, knocking over the chair. I killed him. I didn't hesitate. I chose to burn him. Hound dog's ears flattened. He tried to speak, but Izuku was already at the door. That's it. That's all of it. So I'm done. Midoriya, wait. But the boy was gone. Scene 4, alarms ringing, student missing. Half an hour later, Aizawa's phone buzzed violently. His expression hardened. He ran. Kyuka stood from her seat in panic. What? Midoriya's gone. Hound dog lost him near the east wing. We're initiating a level 2 student search. Bakuga punched the wall. Damn it, Deku, what the hell are you doing? Kyuka's voice cracked. We have to find him. Before he does something stupid. Scene 5, a note left behind in ash and ink. Later, in Izuku's dorm room, Kyuka found it. Folded. Burned slightly at the corners. His handwriting, shaky, rushed. I'm sorry. I can't keep pretending this power is a gift when all I do is destroy. I need time to figure out if I'm a person, or just a weapon. Don't come looking. Please. Aizu. She clutched it to her chest, trembling. Bakuga stood behind her, whispering like it hurt to admit. He's not a monster. He's just scared. Aizawa entered the room, jaw tense. I'll alert Nezu and All Might. He won't be gone long. He's strong, but not invincible. Kyuka turned, tears streaking down her cheeks. Then we bring him home. No matter what. Scene 1, the morning Izuku left. It was early morning when Kyuka went to wake Izuku. She knocked softly on his door, but there was no answer. The door was unlocked. Inside, his bed was untouched, no sign he had been there. His notebooks and belongings were gone. She felt a pit open in her stomach. Frantically, she ran down the hall to tell Aizawa-sensei. Scene 2, Class 1 reacts. When the news spread to the rest of Class 1, panic set in. Kirishima slammed his locker. Wait, Izuku just disappeared. Yurika's eyes filled with tears. He wouldn't leave without telling us. Todoroki quietly said, the Stain fight must have broken him. Mina whispered, maybe he thinks we won't understand. Bakuga didn't say much but clenched his fists, burning with worry and guilt. Scene 3, Kyuka's despair. 4 days, Kyuka didn't attend class. She stayed in Izuku's room, sometimes strumming softly on his guitar, other times crying in silence. She barely ate, barely slept. Her friends left snacks and blankets outside his door, but they didn't interrupt her morning. Scene 4, Bakuga's anger. Bakuga replayed the Stain incident again and again in his head. The words Stain spoke, how Izuku's quirk was a curse, tormented him. He remembered the no Muse wings and the boy it once was, Tsubasa, someone from his and Izuku's childhood. He punched the wall in frustration. Damn nerd. Scene 5, UA staff discussion. At UA, Principal Nezu explained, he's been missing 4 days. Probably wandering the city alone, no money, no phone. Aizawa sighed, he's not ready to talk yet. Not until he believes he's worth being heard. President Mick said, we have to find him before something worse happens. Scene 6, Izuku's week alone. Izuku wandered the city, living off scraps, avoiding everyone. He stayed on park benches and rooftops, unable to face reflections or people. His dreams haunted him, the no Muse screams, Stain's cruel words, memories of Tsubasa. He kept walking, lost inside himself. Scene 7, the emergency call. A week later, Aizawa burst into the room, breathless. We found Izuku. He's fighting 3 villains, protecting a woman. Kyuka dropped her tea. Bakuga jumped up. We're going now, Aizawa said, handing them a location. The trio raced out immediately. Scene 8, the fight. Izuku was exhausted but still fighting hard. His hands were raw, his ribs ached from the battle. He slammed a villain into a wall, then caught another's punch and countered. After defeating the 3, he tied them up with a cable. The woman he saved looked at him with gratitude. Izuku smiled weakly, and then collapsed. Scene 9, the reunion. Kyuka screamed, running to his side. Midnight checked his pulse while Eraserhead and Mick looked on. Bakuga clenched his fists, barely holding back tears. Kyuka whispered, you're not alone anymore. You never were. Scene 10, the police testimony. At the station, the woman told the truth. Izuku hadn't used his quirk once. He fought purely with his hands to protect her. Police reviewed CCTV footage that confirmed her story. Nezu said quietly, the world will see a new kind of hero. Awakening in UA Hospital. The sterile white light of the hospital room filtered through the blinds, casting soft lines across Izuku's face. Slowly, his eyelids fluttered open. The hum of machines and faint footsteps filled the quiet room. His vision was blurry at first, but then he saw her, Kyuka, sitting right beside him, her hand gently holding his. Her eyes, glossy and red-rimmed, met his with relief and worry. "Izuku, you're awake," she whispered, voice trembling. He tried to speak but his throat was dry. She quickly fetched a cup of water, helping him sip. Kyuka's voice trembled. "I was so scared, you just disappeared, and I didn't know if you were coming back," she said, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. "You can't do that to me. Please, never leave me like that again." Izuku swallowed hard, emotions flooding through him. Izuku's silent apology. He didn't answer with words at first. Instead, he leaned forward and pressed a soft, lingering kiss to her forehead, a gesture that spoke volumes. Her eyes widened, then softened. Finally, he whispered, "I'm sorry,